I want you to picture a number, 80%.
Hmm.
It's a number that when I first saw it in the stack of research for today's deep dive, it stopped me cold.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Because usually when we talk about industrial disasters, pipelines bursting, machinery failing, assembly lines just grinding to a halt, we assume it's a hardware failure or maybe a lack of training, right? Like someone just didn't know the theory.
Right. But that's not what the data says at all.
No. 80% of errors in industrial field operations are procedural.
Procedural.
Yeah. It's not that the worker didn't know the job. It's not that the machine was broken. It's that in the heat of the moment, maybe it was raining, maybe they were on a 12-hour shift, or they just had a momentary lapse in focus. They missed a step.
Right.
It's execution.
And that distinction is vital. It's the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it correctly in the physical world.
Yeah.
And financially. I mean, that gap is essentially a black hole for industrial companies.
Right. Let's talk about the money before we get into the tech, because the stakes here are, well, they're absurd. We aren't talking about losing a few $100 on a wasted part.
Not even close.
Yeah.
The source material breaks this down with a really heavy example. Take a single lockout-tagout violation.
Okay.
And for those listening who aren't on the factory floor, that's just failing to properly shut off and lock a power source before you service a machine.
One of the most basic safety protocols in existence.
Correct. But if you miss it, just one of those violations costs an average of $1.7 million.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fines, downtime, investigation costs, all of it.
That is one mistake. One guy forgetting a padlock or turning a key the wrong way.
Exactly. And if you zoom out to the macro level, U.S. manufacturing alone loses about $170 billion a year to what they call poor quality.
Poor quality.
Which is really just a polite corporate way of saying we did it wrong the first time and had to pay to fix it.
So, we have a $170 billion problem caused mostly by human execution errors. That is the stage for today. We are untacking a new platform that claims it can finally fix this execution gap.
Finally.
Right. It's called EON Assist IQ, just released in February 2026 by EON AI Ventures. And look, I know what you're thinking out there. Oh, great, another AR headset promise. We've heard this for 10 years, right?
Oh, yeah. The future is augmented reality.
Exactly.
We have heard it, but this one feels different. It's not just about slapping a screen on your face and hoping for the best. It's about combining specific consumer hardware, the Meta Ray-Bans, specifically with some very aggressive AI verification.
It's closing the loop between the training room and the mud of the job site. But before we get to the cool glasses, and they are pretty cool, we have to talk about the why. Because this isn't just about money. There is a clock ticking in the background of every major industrial company right now.
You're talking about the silver tsunami.
The demographic cliff. It sounds dramatic, but the numbers back it up.
It's a massive vulnerability. The data shows that 42% of the entire industrial workforce is set to retire in the next 10 years.
42%.
Just think about the brain drain there.
Yeah.
You have guys who've been walking these rig floors or assembly lines for 30 years. They know the machine implies trouble just by the way it vibrates.
Yeah.
They know exactly how much torque a valve needs by feel.
Right. It's that tribal knowledge. It's the stuff that isn't in the manual. It's in their fingertips.
And they are walking out the door.
So who is replacing them?
A generation that, and I'm not knocking them, it's just a fact, they don't have that visceral, decades-long experience. So you have what the industry calls a fragile skills pipeline. You're losing the masters, bringing in the apprentices, and expecting safety numbers to stay the same.
Which is impossible.
It's a mathematical impossibility unless you change the tool set.
And the current tool set. Let's be honest, it's a joke. I was reading through the descriptions of the status quo in the notes, and it's painful. You're on an oil rig, it's windy, you're wearing thick, greasy safety gloves, and you're supposed to use what, a paper checklist on a clipboard?
Or a tablet, which is almost worse in some ways in that environment.
Right. Try unlocking an iPad when your thumb is covered in crude oil or you're holding a heavy wrench. It doesn't work. So what happens? The workers aren't malicious, they're just practical. They put the tablet away to do the job.
And that leads to pencil whipping.
Pencil whipping, I love that term, even though it's terrifying.
It's the industry secret. You do the job first because you need your hands. Then, an hour later, you're in the break room, clean hands, drinking coffee, and you just tap complete on the tablet. You're filling out the form from memory.
Which defeats the entire point of a checklist. A checklist is supposed to stop you in the moment if you miss something. If you fill it out an hour later, it's just compliance theater. It's satisfying the lawyers, not the safety requirements.
And that creates the 80% error rate we started with. You thought you tightened the bolt. You remember tightening the bolt. But in reality, you got distracted, someone called your name, and you missed it. The tablet didn't save you because the tablet wasn't part of the work.
So enter EON Assist IQ. And the first thing that struck me, and I think this is why we are talking about this deep dive today, is the hardware choice. Because usually when we look at industrial AR, we are talking about the HoloLens or the Magic Leap. Giant, heavy astronaut helmets.
Right, the face computers.
And they cost, what, $3,000?
Over $3,500, usually. And let's be real about the user experience. Workers hate them. They're hot, they're heavy, the battery life is often an issue, and frankly, they make you look ridiculous. If you're a contractor walking onto a site, you don't want to look like a cyborg.
EON went a totally different direction. They are using Meta's Ray-Ban display smart glasses.
Which is brilliant for adoption. These look like, well, they look like sunglasses. They weigh about the same as regular Wayfarers, and the cost is roughly $799.
That is a seismic shift in economics. You can equip a team of 5 for the price of one of those legacy headsets.
Exactly. It makes it scalable. You aren't just giving these to the foreman or the lead engineer. You can give them to the new hire on day one.
But let's talk specs for a second, because the skeptics, and I'm usually one of them, are going to say it's just sunglasses. How much info can it really show? It's not going to give you a 3D hologram of an engine floating in midair.
No, and it doesn't try to. It uses a heads-up display, or HUD. It's a 600 by 600 pixel square that just sort of floats in your peripheral vision. It's unobtrusive, it's just information. Step 1, turn valve A. Clean, simple text and basic visuals.
Which is probably better, honestly. If I'm working with dangerous machinery, I don't want a dragon flying around my head or a bunch of windows popping up and blocking my view. I just want the next step.
Precisely. It cuts the noise.
Yeah.
But the real game changer here is how you control it, because we just established that touchscreens are useless when you have gloves on.
This is where the neural band comes in. This sounded like straight up sci-fi to me when I read the notes.
It's surprisingly intuitive. It's a wristband that detects the electrical signals from your nerve endings, your motor neurons. So you can control the interface on the glasses just by flicking your wrist or tapping your fingers together.
So I'm holding a wrench in my right hand, I'm deep in the machine, and I can just twitch my left wrist to scroll the manual.
Exactly. You never put the tool down, you never take your gloves off. It integrates the digital workflow into the physical workflow. It removes the friction that causes people to pencil whip the forms in the first place.
Okay, so I've got the glasses on, I look cool, I've got the wristband, I'm walking up to a high-pressure pump. How does this actually stop me from blowing up the plant? Because showing me text is nice, but I can still ignore text.
You can ignore text, but you can't ignore the AI. This is the secret sauce EON talks about.
Walk us through the workflow. What actually happens?
Okay, so step 1. The SOP, the standard operating procedure, is right there in your eye. It says, verify pressure gauge is below 50 psi. In the old world, you just look at it and tap yes on your tablet. In this world, the system won't let you.
Wait, it won't let me proceed.
No. The glasses have a 12-megapixel camera built in. The system uses Claude Vision AI. To pass the step, you have to look at the gauge and say verify. The camera snaps a photo. The AI analyzes that photo instantly. If the needle is at 60 psi, the system says, stop, hazard detected. And it physically blocks you from moving to step 2 on the display.
That is the massive differentiator. It's a guardrail. It's not asking you, did you do it? It's saying, show me.
Think about the psychological shift there. It's like having a master inspector looking over your shoulder every single second. And this is key, it's not a human nagging you, it's just the system.
It removes the ego. It removes the, hey, I know what I'm doing, leave me alone attitude that a lot of veteran workers might have. The AI doesn't care about your tenure, it cares about the pixels.
And it catches things you might miss, even if you are trying your best. The source mentions PTE verification too. Let's say you're working with chemicals. The AI can check your reflection in your hands to ensure you're actually wearing the acid-resistant gloves, not just the standard canvas ones.
That is wild. And frankly, necessary. Because we all know how compliance works in the real world. People cut corners when they're in a rush. They think, oh, I'll just grab these gloves, it'll be fine.
And now they can't.
Yeah.
The system forces the safe behavior. But there is another side to this, beyond just the immediate safety. We have to talk about the audit trail.
Ah, the paperwork, the part absolutely everyone
The
hates.
bane of every industrial manager's existence. The notes say that 65% of audit findings in these industries are just incomplete documentation, missing signatures, missing timestamps, vague descriptions.
Which usually means someone has to spend their entire weekend digging through file cabinets or emailing people asking, hey, did you actually check this last Tuesday?
With EON Assist IQ, the documentation is a byproduct of the work. You don't do the paperwork. The paperwork happens while you work. Every time the AI verifies a step, it logs the time, the GPS coordinate, and this is the killer feature, the visual proof, the photo.
So a manager back at HQ pulls up a dashboard.
A live dashboard. They can see every team in the field in real time. They can see exactly which step they are on. And if an auditor comes in 6 months later and asks, did you really check that valve on February 27th? You don't just show a check mark. You show them the actual photo of the valve in the correct position.
That is an incredible liability shield.
It shifts the model from reactive to proactive. You aren't hoping your guys are safe. You know they are. And you can prove it to the regulators instantly.
I want to pivot a bit here because usually when companies pitch these massive enterprise AI solutions, there is a hidden nightmare, the implementation.
Oh, the IT integration pit of despair.
Exactly. It's always, hey, buy our cool glasses. They'll be ready to use in roughly 2 years after we spend $10 million rewriting your database code.
That is the standard narrative. And for good reason. Industrial IT is usually ancient. We're talking about SAP or Oracle databases that haven't been touched since the 90s.
But EON is claiming something very different here. They are saying integration takes days, not months.
That sounds like marketing fluff, I know. But the mechanism they are using is legit. They are doing it through no-code orchestration. The sources mention platforms like Make.com and N8N.
Okay, for the listener who doesn't spend their life on Product Hunt or in IT forums, explain why no code makes such a big difference here.
So historically, if you wanted your shiny new smart glasses to talk to your ancient Oracle database, you had to hire a team of developers to write custom code. They'd have to build API bridges, handle security protocols, debug endlessly. It's slow, it's expensive, and it breaks easily.
It's like building a brand new highway just to connect two buildings.
Right. Platforms like N8N are basically digital plumbing, or think of them like Lego blocks. They are visual tools that let you connect different software without writing code. You literally just drag a line on your screen from Oracle database to smart glasses.
So EON doesn't have to rebuild the customer's entire infrastructure. They just snap their Lego block onto the existing stack.
Exactly. They can pull the SOPs from the existing database, format them for the glasses, and then push the audit photos back into the database, all without writing a single line of C++ or Python.
That speed is vital. Going back to that 42% retirement stat, companies don't have 2 years to wait. They need this system running now before the experts leave.
Speed is a safety feature in this context. Every month you wait for an IT rollout is a month where that institutional knowledge is leaking out of the building.
It's a very comprehensive package. But there was one distinction in the notes that I found really interesting regarding the AI itself. They make a big deal about specialized AI versus generic AI.
Yes, this is the ChatGPT versus the engineer debate.
Right, because we're all used to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini now. They're amazing. But they also, well, they lie sometimes. They hallucinate.
And in a creative field, that's fine. If ChatGPT writes a marketing slogan that's 80% good, you fix it. No one dies. But in industrial ops, if you are dealing with pressurized gas or high voltage, 80% accuracy is catastrophic.
I'm 80% sure that wire isn't live is not a sentence you ever want to hear.
Exactly. The analysis here is that generic AI is great for broad knowledge, but high-stakes operations require 100% precision. EON Assist IQ isn't trying to write poetry or plan your vacation. It's trained specifically to recognize valves, gauges, padlocks, and safety gear. It's narrow, but it's incredibly deep.
It's the difference between asking a librarian for medical advice versus asking a surgeon. The librarian knows a lot of things, but I want the specialist holding the knife.
And that reliability is what allows you to trust the guardrail. If the AI was flaky, if it stopped you when you were actually doing it right, workers would just get frustrated and turn it off.
Yeah.
It has to be right every time for the culture to accept it.
Now, there's a bigger picture here. We've talked about the glasses, the AI, the audit trails, but EON AI Ventures pitches this as part of a larger ecosystem called Genesis.
Right. EON Assist IQ is really just the execution layer, but Genesis covers the training layer too.
This is the virtual campus concept we saw in the notes.
Yes. Before you ever put on the Ray-Bans and go to the oil rig, you start in VR, you put on a headset, and you're in a digital twin, a simulation of the rig. You have an AI tutor guiding you. You practice the procedure 100 times in the virtual world where it's safe.
So you develop the muscle memory without the risk. You can blow up the virtual plant as many times as you want.
Exactly. And this is the cool part, when you graduate and go to the field, the AR glasses show you the exact same prompts you saw in VR.
It's a seamless transition. The interface doesn't change, only the reality does.
It's closing the loop. Training used to be something you did once in a classroom, you watched a PowerPoint and then forgot. Now the training system and the work system are the same system.
That brings us to a philosophical question, and I want to spend a minute here because this is the part that kind of keeps me up at night, to be honest.
I have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
There was a quote from Dan Ledgerskar, the chairman of EON. He talked about a paradigm shift where the line between training and execution dissolves.
It's a profound statement when you really unpack it.
If the glasses know the job perfectly, if the device has the procedure memorized and the AI has the eyes of a master inspector, and the worker is just following prompts. Turn here. Look here. Stop.
You're asking, what happens to the skill?
Exactly. Are we de-skilling the workforce? If I can take a kid off the street, put these glasses on him, and have him perform a complex maintenance task perfectly on day one, is he a skilled laborer? Or is he just, I don't know, a meat servo for the AI?
That is the tension, isn't it? On one hand, you could argue it de-skills the human because they don't need to memorize the manual anymore. They don't need the intuition.
Right. You lose the art of the job. You lose that feeling of the machine.
But flip it. I'd argue it supercharges the human. It allows that novice to perform at the level of an expert immediately. It democratizes competence.
That's a nice way to put it. Democratizing competence.
Think about a surgeon. If a surgeon uses a robotic arm guided by AI to make a steadier cut or to see a vein they couldn't see with the naked eye, are they less skilled or are they just better equipped?
I guess the difference is the surgeon still knows where to cut. In this industrial scenario, the glasses are telling you where to cut.
True. It shifts the value of human labor. Maybe the value isn't in memory anymore. It's not in knowing the specs or the torque settings. The value is in the dexterity, the ability to climb the ladder, to turn the wrench, to handle the physical unpredictability of the world. The AI handles the data. The human handles the physics.
That's a symbiotic relationship, but it definitely changes the career path. You aren't spending 10 years learning the tricks of the trade. You have the tricks downloaded directly to your face.
And for companies facing that 42% retirement cliff, that is the only way they survive. They don't have 10 years to train the next generation. They need a technology that compresses that timeline to zero.
It's a brave new world. We are moving from workers who know things to workers who can do things while being guided by systems that know things.
And as we see this roll out across oil and gas, healthcare, aerospace, we're going to find out very quickly if that model works.
It's fascinating stuff. EON Assist IQ is clearly more than just a gadget. It's a response to a desperate need in the industry, the need to maintain safety and quality when the experts are leaving the building.
And doing it with a device that you wouldn't be embarrassed to wear in public, that's a victory in itself.
Absolutely. No more cyborg helmets.
Just slick Ray-Bans and perfect safety records. That's the dream anyway.
Well, that is a wrap for this deep dive into EON Assist IQ. A fascinating look at how AI is putting on a pair of sunglasses and potentially saving the industrial world billions of dollars, and hopefully a lot of lives.
Stay safe out there.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.